I don't remember any year since 2002 when a number of us have been out on this anniversary. One of the worst anniversaries in world history, second only to the anniversary of the U.S. attack and occupation of Afghanistan, because it started the whole war on terror, which many of us have known as a war of terror on the people, done in our name. I think it's very important that the U.S. news media has just discovered that there are individual people killed in war. Have you seen the stories of the grandmothers in Ukraine making Molotov cocktails? Did you ever see a story of the grandmothers in Vietnam defending their country with courage and sacrifice? No, we didn't. These stories, when the U.S. is the killer, are hidden, completely hidden. And we're here today to bring out these stories of the human beings killed by the U.S. actions in Iraq, which after all was a war, number one, illegitimate, because it was based on lies. Iraq had no weapons of mass destruction. Iraq was not part of attacking the World Trade Center. It was based on a lie. This war was unjust, and fundamentally, when the U.S. began it, the Bush regime, it was a war crime. It was a war of aggression, unjust, and fundamentally, number three, immoral. 4.5 million people displaced from their homes by this war of aggression on the part of the U.S., presaging a huge refugee crisis across Europe and the Middle East. Probably 1 to 2 million people who lost their lives directly because of the U.S. invasion and occupation. This is completely unacceptable, and it is our responsibility living in this country to do everything we can to stop U.S. wars.
Yeah. That's right.
We're not here today about Ukraine, but I want to say that every decent person should be horrified at what Russian violence is doing to the people of Ukraine. And also, very importantly, every decent person should fail to get on the bandwagon of calling for the U.S. to use more violence in Ukraine. The possible repercussions are enormous, and we have to stand no-fly zone, no U.S. intervention, no NATO intervention. But we're here today to talk about the people of Iraq. And we looked very deeply into the internet because we knew that over the last 20 years there had to be individual stories of people from Iraq, from Syria, from all the surrounding areas that were affected by this war. But in the U.S. there is very, very little, I'm ashamed to say. The one story that I know very, very well is some that you may have heard of, courtesy of Chelsea Manning and Julian Assange and WikiLeaks, and that's collateral murder. So I will say very briefly, this is a demonstrable war crime carried out by the United States on July 12, 2007, when Apache gunships, you can only say, obliterated a group of men standing in Baghdad. 2 were Reuters employees. One was a photographer and another one was a driver. His camera was long, and the U.S. forces said it looked like a weapon. They were killed almost right away. Nur al-Amin was killed, and Saeed Shah, his driver, literally was seen on aerial video crawling on his hands and knees, trying to stand, trying somehow to get to safety. And a van pulled up, and two guys ran out of the van to try to pick him up and take him to safety. Bam! Another U.S. strike kills those three men outright, injures the two children in the van, one with a head injury and one with a stomach injury. They survived and are forever disfigured and marked by that act of violence. But the one thing I did not know until I read this week the whole story is that the U.S. Apache gunships, one of them was called Geronimo, another one was, they were all named after Native American fighters. Is that ironic or what? Anyway, another Apache gunship saw a guy with a gun walk into a building, and what did they do? 3 missile strikes on that building, which was the home of at least 7 people who were killed, 3 children. This is what this government has done. This is the 19 years of war, starting with shock and awe, ending in an occupation that destroyed so many more lives and left the entire Middle East in disaster. This is why we are marching today. We're going to be marching together with the Rude Mechanical Orchestra, with Veterans for Peace, with Peace Action, with the Grannies. Grannies for Peace is here, the Raging Grannies. The New York War Resisters League, who put this whole thing together. Thank you. The Yemen vigilers who are taking time off from their vigil about Yemen today. We're going to march together over to the Highline, where the replica of a U.S. Reaper drone stands over 10th Avenue and 30th Street as another signal of the U.S. war machine really fronting for a whole system of capitalism, imperialism that is raping and destroying the planet. But let's march with some determination and joy. End this war now! The war on the people across the Middle East, the war on the people of the planet. We say yes to humanity and no to U.S. wars. I think the Rude Mechanical is going to lead us. Is that right? Yeah. And the banner, 19 years of Iraq war. Let's get that. Let's be a tight group that is reaching out to tourists and other people in New York and really talking to them about what this day is and why we want to see an end to it.